Hey everybody. First and foremost, I just want to thank you for all the great feedback and engagement on the last video. Very encouraging and it excites me because again, one of the things that made me a little nervous about Facebook Live is I love conversation, and I'm not usually a fan of a talking head. And what y'all showed me is that this is very much a conversation, and it excites me to continue talking with you all in this way. Um, and especially because I get to talk to you all in this way, not because I think I'm an expert or have it all figured out, but because I'm a fellow traveler on the journey. Again, it just helps me to talk these things out as I think through them with you and get your feedback and questions. So again, I just encourage you, as you have the time, as you watch these videos, interact. What questions come up? What thoughts come up? And if there's ever any way I can be of support to you, again, what I love doing is the one-on-one coaching with individuals, even some speaking here and there. But again, engage and interact with me. And what I want to just throw out there today to get your response on and to follow up on, based on some of the feedback that I got, is in the last video I did, I talked about how I loved helping people discover the right questions, the best questions to excavate and to help them unearth the options, the answers for themselves, to help them gain the awareness and the answers they need to be and do their best and make the best decisions. And in talking with some, I've had people ask me, what do you mean by the right questions, or how do I know if they're the right questions? And so I just want to share a couple thoughts that I have around that. And one of them being that as I was thinking about it, actually just this weekend, it occurred to me, or at least the thought occurred to me, that questions are actually what bring the clarity that we seek. I know personally I spent a lot of time looking for answers, thinking that was clarity. And what I've discovered, at least for myself, is the questions are what bring clarity, because the questions help me dig deeper. They help me think of all the options that are out there first and foremost. And then I can sort through those options to find maybe some answers or solutions that then provide the direction, or some directions to go, or at least try. So it kind of dawned on me that really any question can be the right question. It's just important that you ask them and then do your best to dig in and look for the answers, look for the opportunities and the possibilities. For instance, as an example, I remember back early on in my career, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had a degree that was all heavily science, but I wasn't quite finding my place. So I took a job as an admissions counselor at the University of Findlay, go Oilers, where I graduated from, and discovered I loved working with people. I was working in my strengths, just simply helping people gather the information they needed to make the best decisions they could around their education and their future. So I loved that, but there was still an itch that wasn't scratched by it, and I was unsettled. So I began looking, what I thought was asking questions, but I was looking for answers without asking questions. And by that, I mean, I was going out and just looking at job descriptions. I was looking at job titles. I was looking at different companies, different schools, moved around to a couple jobs. And I never quite found what I was looking for that way. It wasn't until I had some friends help me step back and start asking questions. A really good friend, Michelle Smith, back in the Findlay Van Buren area, turned me on to a book called Strength Finders 2.0. And I don't have one within grasp of me right now, but it was a wonderful book because it helped me start turning inward and start asking the right questions. What am I good at? What are my strengths? What are my capabilities? Hey, Dean. Hey, Carrie. I see you sign on. And that was the start of me to begin asking questions and to start looking for the answers without asking the questions. And the more I did that, I discovered some things I was really good at. I got some feedback from other people. For those of you that are familiar with Strength Finders, I discovered that I'm a wooer. It means I love the opportunity to win people over, to befriend them, to connect with them. So I'm a wooer. I'm an includer. If I'm in a group and I see someone that looks like they're on the fringes, I like to go grab that person and bring them in and help them to feel welcomed and included and a part of the group. I'm a communicator, so I enjoy connecting with people. And again, that's why I love conversation. I love connecting with and learning with them and from them. I'm an empathizer, so I have an ability to be able to put myself in their shoes and see where they're coming from. And then the last of my top 5 from that Strength Finders 2.0 was a developer. And one of the biggest questions, the right questions for me is when I got that report of those 5 strengths, I handed it to a friend of mine, another wonderful friend back in the Findlay area by the name of Lance Findlay. I said, hey, what do you see in these things? Does this look like me? And he says, I see all these other things in you for sure. I see the includer. I see the wooer. I see the empathizer, the communicator. He says, the one I do see as far as it being you is, he says, I see you as being a developer, but I don't see that happening anywhere in your life. He says, maybe this unsettledness you're feeling is that part of you trying to get out. That conversation was years and years ago, but I remember it as if it was yesterday, because all of a sudden now I had the right question. I had a question to look into inside myself instead of looking for these answers. I knew a question, and that question was, if developer is a part of me, what might it look like for the developer in me to get out and to start being more intentional about developing others? And that started this road that I was on that led to lots more questions, trying some different avenues. Maybe they didn't work, but it got me another step closer. It gave me a few more questions to ask myself, to look inward, until I finally landed in this space where I may not be 100% there yet, but I know without a doubt that what I love doing is, again, helping others with this personal excavation, finding out who they are, asking the right questions so that they can uncover and unearth all the awareness and options that could be their possible answers, which give them that direction. So again, I share all that again to hopefully start some conversation as you think about where you are in your own life, your own career. Where are some areas that you are looking for clarity? And in those places where you're looking for some clarity, are you just looking for answers, or are you starting first with asking questions to get to know a little bit about more about who you are, how you're made up, how are you wired, what do you love, what excites you, what are you good at? What are things that people tell you they admire about you that they wish they could do, but they can't do themselves, but you don't think anything about it because it just comes so easy to you. You don't think it's special. Those are the kind of questions to ask yourself, to step into, that again will help you as you ask the questions, and then as you work to find out what are those possible opportunities or options, possibilities. As the answers to those questions, it gets you another step closer to who you are and ultimately what brings you purpose and meaning. Questions, comments, anything you have, please share them with me either in the comments, message me directly, or I will also put my email address in the comments. I would love to connect further with anyone who is on this path of seeking purpose in leadership, business, and life in general. Carrie and Dean, thanks again for joining me. If there